Hey, everybody. This is Jason Hall and Jennifer Hall, my wife. Rich Marriage Podcast. Welcome. How you feeling? I'm just trying to,
Feeling pretty
break
good
the
today.
ice.
How are you?
Good.
You ready for this?
Yeah, this is going to be about money, y'all. We got to talk about money today. So, man, money talks. Money talks. We got married 18 years ago. We was in shambles financially. Like, I'm just going to tell y'all straight up, like,
Off the top.
even before, though, like, we brought in a lot of junk, a lot of baggage financially, a lot of debt. Man, we were struggling. I don't even want to put no butter on it. I don't even want to butter it up in any way. We were struggling bad financially, like a lot, thousands and thousands of dollars of debt. We probably collectively at least accumulated, during our first part of our marriage, $100,000 we had full of debt, student loans, car notes, credit cards, all kind of things, right? And for me, I was toast. And then to add on top of that, y'all, I had lost my job right after I proposed to my wife. It was
a rough
hard.
time.
I can feel it even now still. It was traumatic. And, I thought about this, man. This is a serious conversation, but, that's actually the blessing of it was, though. I found out who my wife really was. I found out her support, her character, her ability to support me in my time of need. My gosh, I was struggling. I felt less than a man. I was crying at night, just struggling. When you lose your job, it's not an easy thing. And we were already drowning in the bills, right? But this happened when we were engaged. So I had just purchased her a nice ring and all that. And we were about to move in together and get married. And man, it was toast. Like our financial situation was curtains. It was done. And so coming into the marriage like this, some of y'all might be experiencing it now. Some of you have experienced it. We were more than broke. We were struggling really, really bad. Like to the point where I would go to the gas station for work, right? And I would swipe the credit card hoping that it went through because my credit cards were maxed out. My wife's credit cards were maxed out. Man, we were below, right? And so for those that have been through that, I can feel you and you can feel us. Like maybe you're going through that now. It's hard, y'all. Like no less than hard. It was no less than a miracle from God that we made it through that season of many years. Like most of our marriage, we have been broke. Most of our marriage, we've been struggling financially. Most of our marriage, we didn't know where the bills were coming from. As a matter of fact, we couldn't even keep track, man, of what was coming in and out because it was so, it was bad, y'all. So it was our heartbeat is, one of the aspects of rich marriage is financial, obviously. It could make or break you. As a matter of fact, it could have broke our marriage. It could have torn us apart. It could have caused a divorce, and I would have understood it, and so would she. Man, talk about that, some of the pain, because I want to hear the real. Like, I want to be real on this podcast. I don't want to just say, oh, yeah, we made it through and everything's good now. And, man, how did it feel? How did it feel?
It was one of the hardest things that we went through. Just getting married anyway, right? Just that stage, engaged and transitioning into marriage, is heavy as it's full. It's a full time in your life. So to have the financial struggles on top of that, it gave us the opportunity. I'm going to say opportunity, because struggles are opportunities for you to grow. It's opportunities for you, as Jason said, to see who you're really dealing with here. Now, yes, we had a foundation in friendship. So we really knew each other, right? Without all the sugar-coated and trying to show up as your best self, right? We had that foundation in friendship. So we knew each other on a deep level. But you coming together in marriage as one is different, right? Transitioning from friendship into marriage, and now this struggle this huge financial struggle. Off the bat, we were just like, man, like we just got married, right? It was hard to really be able to be present and really enjoy that part of it, that first part of getting married. Because again, off the bat, we were dealing with financial issues. I remember a friend who asked me early on, and like, how's marriage? And I was like, marriage is great, right? It's great. And I wasn't sugarcoating it. We together, our relationship, it was great. Our finances were in shambles, as Jason said. And it brings me to this. As Jason said, we both brought baggage into the relationship, various kinds. But financial bondage, financial baggage, we brought it in off the jump. And what do I mean by that? Like, everybody has a money blueprint. Everybody. And early on, we didn't know any better. We were so deep off in it, we couldn't even really see a way out. We weren't even really trying. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where it's so bad that you're not even trying to get out. You see no light at the end of the tunnel. We didn't have the tools. We didn't have the know-how to get out of it. And so we were stuck. We felt stuck. It was hard. It was one of the hardest things. We've been through some stuff, but that was one of the hardest things that we had been through. But as I said, it gave us the opportunity from the very beginning. God used it to bind us together quickly. It was like an accelerated pace of really growing us in this marriage and this oneness, because all we had was each other. We were in this together. And most people from the outside had no clue what we were going through. Life didn't stop. Right? We still had to show up to work. We still had to show up for our kids, right? We still were showing up in ministry. And nobody really knew the depth of what we were carrying financially, the bondage that we were in financially. Even to this day, maybe listening to this podcast, nobody really knew the depth of it but us and God. It was rough.
That's very, yeah, thanks for sharing. It's interesting because as you say that, even the shame that I felt, and even from a man's perspective, and some man might be watching, we carry that weight of wanting to be a provider. We want to be a provider. We desire to provide for our wife, our kids. And mind you, in the midst of all this, she was pregnant a couple times over. So now you have all this other stressors. I was working 12-hour shifts,
overnight.
trying to pick up, overnight.
Yeah.
Overtime, just trying to chase that dollar, right? And definitely wasn't from a place of rest. It was all striving. It was all stress. And it was all anxiety. And it was even led to depression for me, especially thoughts of suicide, just down to my lowest place that I can get, right? Every time I dreaded going to the mailbox because there was always a bill or overdue, or overdraft, I just want to emphasize the heaviness that we felt. It was super heavy to the point where, there was no hope. There was no light at the end of the tunnel for us, in our marriage. And what that could have did was destroy us. But it actually, as Jennifer so beautifully said, it bonded us together. It created this intimacy. It created this trust. It created this hope and faith in God that only by his grace we could get out of this, because we didn't see it. But I want to say, one day, years ago, it was about, 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
I ran into this gentleman at
Network.
A network gathering, yeah. And he was a Christian man. He loved God. And he said, I don't know why, but I'm supposed to give you my card. And he was a financial coach. And I had expressed it to her. I said, man, I met this financial coach, and we need to get with him. We didn't know what else to do, but we finally humbled ourselves to the point where we need outside help, right? So to get out of that shame, and it was very shameful going through the process, but we laid out all the bills, we laid out all the debt to see where we were at. And man, it was worse than what we thought. But it probably was about what we thought, because we didn't even know. But anyway, God used them. We went through a journey for the last 5 years of getting out of debt, of creating a budget, creating a plan, spending, understanding where we're at, going through money shifts mindsets. Well, we're still going through a mindset to really see where we're at. We found out that we both worry about money. We have scarcity mindsets, generational poverty mindsets that stem from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Things that, that, as she mentioned, the money blueprint, which we'll talk about in the next episode, because I think we can't get that deep right now. But anyway, there's an impoverishment that we had, that we carried in our heart, in our spirit, in our mind. And it was like, it's super heavy, like super heavy. And so we went through the journey with the financial coach for several years, even up till today. Mm-hmm. And man, I cannot tell you how God did a work supernaturally. There was funding coming. There was paying off bills, negotiating debt. God really taught us how to get in a better situation. And the increases that we've seen over the last several years have been out of this world, phenomenal. Yeah. Even the dream of us being able to work from home, make our own schedules, to fit it in our kids, allow kids to go to private school, just things like that we never would have dreamed of, right? And we're still a work in progress. God has opened up new doors of opportunities for financial means, but it was all based on the stewarding of what he gave us. And so we figured it out with a lot of help and a lot of prayer and a lot of faith. Man, it is tremendous. You might be struggling right now. You might be like, man, I don't know what we're going to do with our marriage. Matter of fact, you might present the divorce papers to your spouse because, you're struggling that much. But I want to encourage you. We want to encourage you that it's possible. Like, all things are possible. If he can get us out of this financial rut, he can get you out of it too. But remember, it's not just on paper, but it's in your mind. It's in your mindset. The financial capabilities, the skills, the talents, the things that God has given. We carry no college debt now. Wow. We couldn't say that 5 years ago. No college debt. We both have degrees with absolutely no student loan debt. God is good. No car payment, no credit card. Like we eliminated all those things so we can be more free to have a rich marriage, to have a rich relationship. And now we prioritize differently. We don't overspend. We don't, budget more than what we have. There's still things that come up. Cars break down, situations that give us anxiety and struggle. But through it all, man, he's done a miracle for us. But it took work, years of work to get to this point. The last 5 years, God has done a great work in our finances. To be able to be free to do these types of things, to share with you, because sometimes you can't see beyond your struggle, and you don't know what's coming next. You know what I mean? It's real, like it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Life is hard, and there'll always be financial challenges. Don't get it twisted, right? But we're here to encourage you today that it's possible in your marriage and your finances to be aligned. Yeah. Any last thoughts you have?
As we get ready to close out, as you said, all things are possible with God. It took us inviting God into our financial situation. It's his anyway, right? And sometimes the strongest thing that you can do is ask for help. And that was the key for us. We couldn't do it on our own. We definitely couldn't do it without God, but we invited someone else in. We asked for help. And mind you, I was mad at first. I'm going to be real with y'all, right? We went into this first meeting and I was like, who is this guy telling us about our finances? And it took humility. It took really saying like, look, we need this help. And so sometimes the strongest thing you can do is ask for help. And with God, all things are possible. He did a supernatural work in our financials, mind you, during the pandemic as well. If you go back 5 years, it was during the pandemic. And so it is possible. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Finances are one of the biggest causes of divorce and separation in marriage. And so don't be afraid to ask for help. Bring in the expert. Invite God into your financial situation, and you can overcome and not just be rich in marriage, but also rich in finances. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been your Rich Marriage Podcast with Jason and Jennifer Hall. Make sure you turn on notifications and hit that subscribe button before you close out. Thanks for tuning in.
God bless.